Okay, apparently my camera's not playing nice. Give me 1 second here. Let's power cycle it. Come on, you can do it, camera. It was working when I was testing it before we went live, but apparently the camera gods hate me today. Are we good now? There we go. All right. Welcome. Sorry about the delay here and the technical issues. So we did actually hire a new person today, or not today, yesterday, 2 days ago, Monday. So anyways, we got a new shop technician here, so I was working with him. We are currently going through right now, completely revamping our print farm from quite literally top to bottom. So moving things around, getting all the printers updated. One thing we're doing is updating all of our main ABS machines to all of our EasyBoard V2s, all of our Tough Extruder V2s, the bimetal heat breaks we sell for the Creality hot ends, your Easy Flow nozzles, Easy Neo LED bars, our latest EasyABL Pro kits, and making sure they all have mean wheels on them, which they have. So, but yeah, it's been an undertaking. So right now, all of the print jobs have been running off on my printers here, and they're actually quiet today. I was actually able to get ahead with the prints, but basically, when we're done here, I'm gonna pull up some pictures of the machines. So we completely reorganized everything out there, and it is in a little bit of disarray, but we basically made it so we could easily work on the machines, and I'll show you guys the before and after here. And what we're doing. So we are running some older Raspberry Pi boards here. We're running the 3B pluses because we have a ton of them. We have like 30 something of them. They all work and they run Octoprint beautifully. So this is what each enclosure will have. You can see here we have a PoE splitter. So the Pis actually get power from our network switch. This splits off a network connection, 1 gigabit network connection here, and either a micro USB or USB-C, depending on if it's a Pi 3 or Pi 4. We have the IP address on a label on each of the boards, and I went with these open frame ones for the enclosures, just because it's easy to service. We can get to the SD card. I don't have to worry about having a fan on them because they're in the open air, and these are also the 3B and 3B pluses, so they don't run that hot to begin with. So basically every single enclosure is going to have that setup. This is what the printers are going to look like when they're done. So this was the first one I got done here. And shout out to my buddy Emerson and his wife Sarah. They stopped by last week and were giving us a hand getting the printer started. So we are converting these over. This little mount might look familiar to you guys. Is that the Red Squirrel 5015 one? And I like this because it's a very quick upgrade for a 5015 upgrade fan. So even though these are ABS printers, we are upgrading all the layer fans to 5015 fans because we found that we're able to get better prints in terms of the bridging and whatnot, and also get better cooling. So when we're running faster print speeds, things can actually get cooled down. So every single machine will have the Easy Neos, and the lights on these inside these enclosures make it so much easier to see everything. You can see this has a slightly older EasyABL Pro on it with the red top. The ones we're shipping right now have the blue, but they're the same sensor. So basically, if it has one of the older metal sensors, we actually have some of our V2 and V3 sensors from like 4+ years ago that still work. We're just updating everything. We're changing out the PTFE tubing. Like I said, putting in the bimetal heat breaks. So these are the Creality hot ends we're still running, which is why we didn't put the multi-mount on here. The Creality hot ends, we're just retrofitting those with our nozzles and our heat breaks. Basically, we've got 15 of these to do, and I didn't feel like swapping out the entire hot ends. If we only had a couple, probably would have gone with the multi-mount, but I wanted something that was cost-effective and also quick. All the fans are being replaced, so all the layer fans are all new 5015 layer fans. The hot end fans are new 40mm 24-volt fans. The control box fans, everything's getting replaced and refreshed. New belts on the printers if they need it. We're going over all the belts, all the bearings. Yeah, so that's what I've been working on the last, I don't know, 5 or 6 days. So this was the print farm setup before we moved everything, and you can see there wasn't much space between the racks here, or the stacks of the machines, to actually get the filament rolls on and off. It was kind of a pain. We had this kind of like weird dead space here with the TV and its cord hider. And that's all 3. So I have 3 fully done. We got 9 more machines to do. I should be wrapping those up tomorrow. And then this is our new guy, Matt. He was working on the enclosures. And You can see here we moved it around so they're spaced out, so there's a lot more room between the actual stacks of the enclosures to get in here. We also moved over all of our filament. We had them kind of on top of the racks here. Now these two left racks are going to be for inventory, and then these other two racks here are going to be for printers, and we will be eventually putting printers up on top here. So basically each of these racks can hold 9 machines. Every single one will have a Raspberry Pi or one of the Easy Pi R4 Pluses with the Redoxa boards, but everyone's going to have an Octoprint controller on them, and then we're integrating it all with Octofarm. So right now we have Octofarm set up for my machines in here and the machines in the house. But basically every single printer will have a camera. Every single printer will have a Pi or similar SBC on it running Octoprint. We'll have a full dashboard here of all the printers. The other thing I want to do is, so Octofarm actually has, like, I'll switch back here. They have this dashboard panel, so you can see at a glance how many printers are running, which ones are not, your print farm utilization, your stats, and you see here I got like a little camera cycle. I would like to have a way to basically like cast that web page to the TV that's in there, because it has a Chromecast audio or Chromecast on it. The only thing I can think of short of figuring out how to cast it would be to put a computer on it, which I have some other computers laying around. But yeah, so alrighty. Let's see here. Don't forget to start the bot. I thought I started the bot. Is it hanging? Let me see. It's hanging, so I'm going to have to pull the questions manually. Let me see here. So that's what I've been doing, training the new guy and getting our print farm whipped into shape. So I see Peter's being a smartass. It's pretty amazing. Someone who knows so much about tech always seems to have technical problems. The problem isn't that. The problem is I have limited time. So I don't have time to mess with my own computer that much. I've actually been working on the printer or the computer out in the print farm since I've been out there. All right, Peter Anderson is the first question. He says, I got an easy forward V2 and an easy out V question mark. When the filament is run out and M119 show is triggered, how do I fix that? When the filament has run out and M119 shows triggered, that's what it's supposed to do, I think. Wait, why am I blanking on this? No, when filament is in there, it should show triggered. When filament is not in there, it'll show open. So if it's backwards, you probably either have wiring wrong or the switch is messing up, or most likely would be that the firmware is set up wrong. If you have it set up for the Creality sensor, it will be inverted. So it has to be set up for the easy out sensor, because it is not going to have the same logic as our sensor. So our sensor uses a different logic from Creality sensors. So it's probably something stupid. Basically, if you are getting a state change, meaning if you put filament in there and it shows open, and when it's not in there, it shows triggered, you probably have a firmware setting wrong, or there's something up with the wiring and it needs to be fixed. So maybe you changed something a while back and forgot about it, that kind of thing. I see Guy Barton said Octofarm development ended. Did someone pick it back up? So yeah, Octofarm did... it is not being actively developed anymore, but it just uses the Octoprint API, and it is local only here. So I'm not concerned about updates. I am concerned. My main concern is just having it work. Is my computer really going to play games where we're stuttering today? I am like running on fumes today, so I have very low tolerance for stuff screwing up. Are we done? It looks like it's done screwing up. I literally, how many times you open Task Manager and things just start working? Because that's what I did, and it stopped lagging. I guess the fear of something being forcefully closed was enough. All right. Yeah, the bot is on now. All right. So that would be, Jimmy would be the next question here. So I am going to probably wrap this up like later, or not later, but like not as late, like earlier. I can't talk right now. How's the SVO7? It's still in the box. I have been working on the print firm. Okay. So Jimmy Miller says he just hit the power switch eye on his SVO6 plus. It locked up in the on position. It probably arced, is what happened. Don't know if this has been a problem with their switches. So I believe the ones we used to carry for the CR6 would be a replacement for that. You can also just pull the switch out and find it. We don't carry replacements for that. So I can't really help you there. But I would probably just replace the switch. Vast CNC says, planning to go sensorless homing on the X and Y Ender 3 Pro. Any reason to or not to? Tips. If your end stops are working fine, I wouldn't mess with it. Sensorless homing, while it does work, it does introduce more stuff to go wrong. Like basically, if you change your belt tension, sensorless homing can need to be adjusted as things break in and wear with more or less friction. They can adjust your sensorless homing like settings that you need to do. I would recommend, if your end stop switches are working, just sticking with the end stop switches. There are certain times, and I do have a few printers, and I have done custom printer builds with sensorless homing. If I'm building a printer from scratch that's designed to use it, that's fine. But basically, if you're running end stops, just leave it. Also, if you're running the power loss recovery feature in Marlin, you're not going to have accurate power resume. We actually showed that with the SVO6. I think it was either the SVO6 or SVO6 Plus. Because here's the thing, sensorless homing is not as accurate as end stops. It's not. It's accurate enough for homing, but it's not accurate enough for power resume. So, Nemograph, have I heard of a bed service called PEA? I just got a plate from China. It gives you a glass-like first light. I'm trying it out now. I haven't, and I'm wondering if that's an actual term or if that's some made-up marketing thing. Like there's a company that calls something PEX, like the same thing as a water pipe name that's in the house, but it's not the same material. It's literally a marketing gimmick. I'd be curious to see, like, PEI is actually a plastic. Like, it's a type of plastic. It's not like a marketing term. So, but I mean, I'm curious. I'm gonna ask you guys a question. I think most people, and it's a yes or no. Do you guys prefer textured build plates over smooth? Because I feel like the majority of people prefer the textured build plates over the smooth. Myself included. I used to be a big fan of the smooth, and I started printing with textured more and more, and I like the surface finish, and I actually find myself designing parts in a way where they will have the surface finish in a prominent section. So I'm curious to know what your guys' preferences are. I mean, I think the result's going to be it's majority people like the textured, which is what our sales numbers show as well. That's why we're closing out the smooth PEI sheet. So we have a few of the smooth PEI plates, some of the larger ones left. After that, we will not be stocking smooth PEI plates anymore. Only textured. All right. Yeah, so it's mostly textured. There's a couple smooth. I would say it's like 3-to-1. If I had to just looking at this, it's like 3-to-1. Like for every 3 people that like textured, there's 1 person that likes smooth. Yeah, and I'm the type of person where I will standardize on one thing, just in general. So I find the best one that fits most use cases, and for me, that's the textured at this point. I think I only have like 1 printer here with a smooth plate left. Also, the other thing too is I find the texture holds up a little bit better, and it's a little more forgiving. If things are a little more forgiving if you're on the texture versus the smooth. All right, so Julio Reyes says, any thoughts on carrying 5 kilograms rolls in your spool? No, or in your store? No, we're not going to carry those. We're focusing on stuff the majority of people want, and the majority of people want 1 kilogram spools, including myself. So they're also really expensive to ship, but it's mostly the sales numbers. Like 1 kilogram's the go-to. And also just me, why I stick with 1 kilogram, even though we burn through filament like crazy, is the spool holders for the printers are designed for 1 kilogram rolls. Most of the 5 kilogram spools you can't fit on most printers, so it's not worth it. All right, so let's see. Mirrors51 says, when I run a bed level, what action should I take with the values returned? Should I try manually adjusting the bed to get the values as close to 0 as possible? So if you have springs still and you didn't solid mount your bed, it wouldn't hurt to try to level out the bed as close as possible. But if you're able to run a print and the print sticks to the bed and it's pretty even on your first layer, you don't need to do anything. The whole point of the bed leveling sensor is to get the filament stuck to the bed by using the Z motor to compensate for the height. So if you have an ABL sensor, and especially if you have solid mounts, just run it. The only time I'll typically like either shim a bed or I'll even take the carriage off and flatten it out is if it's like over 1 millimeter out, because usually then something's bent and it's usually the carriage that the bed is sitting on. So, but if you have an ABL sensor on there and it's, you know, you're getting a pretty good result, like no matter what ABL sensor you have, or, you know, whether it's our Easy ABL or a BL Touch or a CR Touch or whatever, your first layer is going to be good, but it will never be perfect. You might have spots where it's slightly closer than others, and that's just because that spot could be in between probe points. But the goal with an ABL sensor is to get it good enough to stick your print down so it stays stuck to the bed. You're not too close, you're not too far, and the print can succeed. That's the goal. You know, the reality is we're dealing with really cheap printers with really cheap beds that aren't flat, and the ABL sensors are just kind of a band-aid to help use those, because the reality is actually flat beds are very, very expensive, like almost as much as some of the printers that they would go on. So, let's see. Get SS, did I hear correctly? You're designing upgraded fan ducts for stock reality machines for 5015? Yeah, so we are working on that right now just because of, like, when I was showing off the print farm earlier, I don't know if you saw that. We're putting just a basic 5015 upgrade kit. It's actually called a Red Squirrel one, and it's a good enough mount, but the goal is once we get ours done, I'm going to print all of our ducts and replace the Red Squirrel ones in our print farm with our version. It's better than the stock cooling. I've been running the Red Squirrel one from here, but what I don't like is there's like this weird little bracket that you have to put on to the side, and you have to use like M2.5 screws, which who the hell stocks M2.5 screws? I don't. And it's just kind of fiddly, but it's better than stock, so that's why we're just running with it. Now the good thing is, like with our print farm anyways, we have that Red Squirrel one. We'll be able to take that mount off, bolt ours on there, and just put the fans on it and move on. But we will be having it just like, we will be having it so you can purchase the prints. We might do what we do with later stuff is, once the product has been sold for a while, we'll offer the STL files for sale, but we have had problems where people purchase the STL files and then they go post them on other sites, and we spend a lot of time refining our designs, and basically we need to make our money back that we put into the design before we run the risk of somebody taking it and posting it on another site, and then people basically getting all of our time for free. Like at the end of the day, you know, we are a company. We can't be doing design work for free. We have bills to pay. We have mouths to feed. So the best way for us to do that is to sell prints of our own designs. You know, we're designing products just because it's printed. There seems to be quite a few people that have this mentality that just because a product is being printed, that it doesn't cost anything to make that design. The reality is we will go back and forth, and we will have hours and hours and hours into the design. And the thing is, when we design something, we're trying to get it as close to perfect as possible in terms of fitment, in terms of the quality, in terms of performance. Whereas like stuff you download off of Thingiverse, you usually have to, fuddle with and mess with to get it to work, and it'll work, but it's free. But you get what you pay for. So, yeah. So in short, we are working on our own. I think Tor's pretty far along with that. Tor, are you in the chat? I thought you were in the chat. Bueller. Yeah, I saw him in the chat. But our goal is right now, I'm using the Red Squirrel as kind of a placeholder in our print farm until we get ours done, and then we're just going to switch it out. And it'll be pretty simple to switch it out because we'll already have the 5015 on there. We'll already have the 40 millimeter on there. Just unbolt the Red Squirrel, bolt ours up, and move on. That's it. Peterson, any news on the extra Z-axis driver for the auto gantry? You want it? It's not happening. There's not enough interest, and it's not worth our time to run a product that's going to be very niche, and we will not make our investment back. We're not going to be doing the 5th driver for the EasyBoard V2. That idea is dead in the water because there's not enough interest. So if you do want a board that has multiple drivers, so you can do auto gantry level, and you want to run our firmware and stuff on it, you can check out the MKS Monster 8 V2. We sell those in our shop. We also sell the firmware separately, so if you bought it elsewhere, you can use that. Just make sure you're using the TNC 2209s. I see Jeff didn't read the thing here, but I'm going to answer this question. He said, can I connect the Sonic Pad to the Ender 5 Pro EasyBoard V2 AZ ABL? Yes, it will work. You can do that. However, we do not do any support for the Sonic Pad because the Sonic Pad is infringing on the GPL. It's also just a pile of garbage, to be completely honest. People I've talked to that have used it and have gotten it working told me it's horrible. So basically, they've bastardized the version of Klipper. They remove copyright from the community, so they're stolen code. It's just not a good product. Yes, you can use the EasyBoard V2 and the Easy ABL with Klipper. The Sonic Pad's running Klipper, but you will be on your own setting it up because we do not do anything with the Sonic Pad because it's such a bad product and it's also violating the GPL. Also, if you ever wanted to update Klipper as it stands right now, you have to use their bastardized version of it. It's not a product I'd recommend. If you want to get a pad type product to run Klipper, the Big Tree Tech Pad 7 is a solid setup. I have been playing with it. I have many people that I know that run it and are very happy with it, so I can give it a little recommendation that it would be a good way forward, because you can also run the standard software on there. You're not locked into a bastardized version of it. So, and that's one of BTT's higher end products, and they seem to be giving their higher end products a little bit more attention to detail and quality. One of the things that I can't recommend still is their SKR E3 mini series. They're just still low quality boards. I had to buy one again. This is the V3.0.1. You can see right here. This I bought just for doing firmware testing because I have a guy that's claiming his isn't working correctly. Well, my 301 died after a couple of uses, so I had to buy another one. So I have all the versions of that board. I've got the B0 and the B1. I have a bunch of them. Like this is the B0. This is the B1. I only have these here for testing. I only use these for testing the firmware that we put out for them. I do not run these in our own machines because I don't feel like changing boards out. So they're just not really reliable boards. The E3 mini series or mini E3, whatever they call it. But their Pad 7 seems to be solid. I have a Pad 7. Chris actually won it at Murph, and it feels really good. It's pretty quick with their CB1 module in there. But yeah, stay away from the Sonic Pad. And the other thing too is, if you bought the Sonic Pad from them, it's a pretty expensive product. Contact Creality for help with their product. And if they won't help you, return it. Like if they're putting out a product like that, that's a Klipper type product, a very DIY product, they should be doing support, or make it so at least the community can do support on it, because right now the community can't do anything. You can't put regular Klipper on there. So just the GPL violations were enough for me to say, no, we're not doing anything with it. But the fact that it also can't run standard software and it's running their weird one, and who knows what the hell they're doing on the back end of it in terms of shady stuff, can't recommend it. So all right. Oh, let's see. Where am I going? Oh, I'm going on Teams. Hang on. Tor's got something to share. Let me see here. I'm gonna have to download these. Oh, there's videos. Hang on. Teams doesn't make it easy to download. Let me see here. Yeah, I was going to say, tell him to fix the probe wire. He's got our micro on there. That is not mounted correctly. All right, so let me open up these photos here. Let me see. I like seeing other people's builds here. So this guy actually he painted our parts. So Tor's actually been kind of fangirling out about this. It looks good. So this is his 5 Plus, and he's got a bunch of custom painted parts on here. I'm assuming there's a video that shows me more than just this. Let's see. Yeah, he needs to fix that wire there. That paint job on the shroud looks nice. I want to see the rest of the printer. I haven't watched these videos. This is my first time seeing them. Oh, wait, hang on. If I was just patient. That is clean. He even painted the housing to match. I like that. And I see he took my recommendation on the Edsel racks. Or maybe he found them before. That is nice and clean. I see we have resin printers. Yeah, that paint job came out nice on the shroud there. Yeah, on the LCD cover too, that came out good. Poop. What version? 274A. So this is a recent video. Did he send these to you today? Yeah, that's nice and clean. Yeah, the only thing I can complain is like, so the sensor wire here, when you guys are installing our stuff, you should leave a little slack because this pulling up on here could damage the cable over time. So we just got him set up. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, that's a nice clean build. I am really liking the micro Swisses. I almost put micro Swisses on all the machines, and I was like, we don't do any flexible on those printers, so it'd be a waste. But we have I have an NG on my Gear V2. I've got a mix. I got a hodgepodge of printers in here. The print farm is getting pretty standardized, but my personal print farm in here is literally a hodgepodge of whatever I felt like putting together at the time or whatever I had. So, all right. Let's see here. I am going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes here because I do have a ton of stuff to do. I've got the shop to get back to. I do have a question for you guys. If we're out working the shop now, I don't have the nice cameras and stuff like I do in here. But I was wondering if you guys would be interested if we put like a, if I just like, I don't know, had like, was in Discord hanging out with the video chat open. I do have a wireless headset. I don't know if it'd be worthy of having it on the YouTube channel, but kind of having like a chat going while we are, while I'm working on all the printers. So I do have an extra one of these cameras and an arm, I think. I don't know if someone took the arm. I feel like Bruce might have taken the arm. But I have another capture card in the camera, but I'd have to figure it out. But it's a mess out there right now. I'll even show you. It's a mess. Let's see here. Yeah, Matt's out there working right now. I have him mounted all the pie boards to the enclosures here. It's a mess. You can see all the printers in various stages of repair. Oh, I clicked out of it. Sorry. You can see all the printers in the various stages of upgrades or repair. So this one's here is like a model to like, this is what we are doing to the printers. And you can see the enclosures here. There's only one printer in there right now. Oh, I also forgot. We're putting Wi-Fi plugs on every single printer in the print farm. So we're going to do that for an extra layer of added protection in case something goes wrong, as well as power savings too. So you can see here all our filaments over there now. There's no more printers over there. Turn that into an inventory space. So that's what I've been working on for the last, I don't know, week now, if not more. I can't remember when I started it. I do have a 920 out there. And then it's some off-brand one, but it has 1080p 60. So it's not terrible. It's just the microphone is not terrible or not that great, but whatever. I was just trying to think about doing something. Okay. Let's answer these last couple questions before I wrap it up and I gotta go not rebuild the engine, but I gotta pull the engine on my mower. I just replaced the head gaskets on it, and the sump cover is leaking oil, so that's fun. I had two different things causing oil leaks, so yay! I'm gonna be dirty tonight. But anyways, so Git SS says, so is that the dual 5015 setup or split air path? I will need to buy two for my two Microsoft Direct Drive machines. Curious how many fans I will need. I think you were talking about the one that was just on there. That setup he had, I think it was a 5015, right, Tor? I actually wasn't even paying attention to the fan setup that guy had. Because we modified the stock ducts. No, he had the stock fan on there. We do have a 5015 duct for the Micro Swiss NG extruders that Tord made. So, but the ones anyways, the one we're working on will be a single 5015 with a split air path. So one fan for both ones. And we'll be messing with it to make sure that we get equal pressure out of the two nozzles when we're, doing things. When we're running the fan. Sorry, there's a delivery here. I got distracted. But for the Micro Swiss 2, it's the same kind of thing. It's a split air path. But yeah. So let's see. Mirrors, for the sake of discussion, do you think the hype around Klipper and printing fast is similar to overclocking of CPUs that seemed to be all the rage several years ago? That's actually a really good like comparison, because I was into overclocking back in, like, when did the Core 2 Duos and Core 2 Quads first came out? But yeah, it was a while ago, and actually none of my computers I'm running overclocked anymore because it's just not worth it anymore. I know there are some people that overclock, but it's become less and less of a thing people do. And yeah, I mean, there's definitely Klipper is definitely like a hype thing right now. It's the fun latest thing, and like I said, Klipper's fun. But you notice we're not running Klipper on our print farm because it's way too complicated. Like it's way too complicated. It's not as reliable. I'm not saying it can't be used in a print farm. I'm just saying, as somebody who's set it up and used it, I would much rather use something that has a lot more time under the belt, like like Octoprint and Marlin do. And you can print fast with Octoprint and Marlin. You just got to know how to do it. The difference is right now, people aren't pushing printing fast with Marlin. People are pushing in terms of making videos and talking about it. They're pushing Klipper. That's the thing right now. So, and the other thing too, we found, because we are looking at ways to optimize our print farm, and we did look at doing Klipper, because if I can get more output out of fewer printers, that then means more revenue, right? So if I can have, 6 printers running and have those 6 printers make the same amount of parts that 12 printers can in the same amount of time, why would I not want to do that? Well, while we could do that, the problem is the parts that come off of that are garbage. And what I mean by that is, even though they look good, especially when you're dealing with ABS, the layer adhesion, the faster you print, the shittier the layer adhesion is. So I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to be sending out parts that were printed in a rush because I'm trying to cut corners, quite literally, with input shaping. It rounds corners off. That's a little joke there. But I want parts that are structurally sound and look good for my customers. Now, just because I can crank out, an ABL mount in 5 minutes instead of 15, that doesn't mean I'm going to do it, because that one that I cranked out in 5 minutes instead of 15 minutes is going to be weaker and a crappier part. And I don't want my customers dealing with crappier parts. For people that are, doing stuff for yourself and your personal stuff, it doesn't really matter. But, as a company, we can't be sending out inferior parts, and the faster you print, the weaker your layer adhesion is going to get. And that's with all materials, so no, I do think Klipper's a hype thing. There'll be something else that'll come along. I've been in industries in general, especially tech stuff. It comes in fads. Like right now, the bamboo's a fad, and it's starting to taper off. Right now, Klipper's a fad, and I don't know if it's starting to taper off now or not, because I'm not in the Klipper communities, because I don't like being in places that are toxic. If I wanted to do that, I'd just go on Reddit. But anyways, all joking aside, it is definitely a fad right now. So Not saying it's bad. It's just if you want your printer to work and if you like to tinker, play with Klipper. If you don't want to tinker and you want your printer to work as a tool and work reliably, then stick with Marlin. That's really the easiest way I can sum it up. Mike's asking, are the white enclosures custom made or did I buy them from somewhere? So those white enclosures we got from a company called Printed Solid, and those are their older enclosures. We actually have their older ones and their newer ones. Their newer ones are an ACM material, so it's like an aluminum, plastic, aluminum composite panel, and those actually hold the heat better. Those ones, the white ones, are actually a wood that they used to make, and we added extra insulation on them because they didn't hold the heat. Sorry, we don't have the they don't hold the heat in as well as the new ones, so they're good. But yeah, so yeah, they do stack nicely. Those were designed to stack on top of each other. I don't know if the metal ones are, because the metal ones don't have, like their new versions, they don't have the holes in the corner to stack them all together, whereas those, he told me that you can go, I think, up to 4 stacked high. We only went up to 3. The bottom ones are kind of a pain to get to, but it's carpeted in the print farm. I don't mind laying on the floor, to go in there and change filament out. It's not that big of a deal. So, Peter has said, any chance you're starting to sell extruder cables with the wires pre-switched, like you have to do on the direct drive extruders? I hate having to do that. No, that's not something we're going to do. We're trying to get away from all the little, like, stuff that takes up a ton of time and we can't make any money on. We are going to start, basically, once the print farm's done, my plan is to ramp up our advertising for doing print services. So we use our print farm not only for our own products, but we also use our print farm for printing stuff for other companies. And we do have quite a few companies that come to us on a fairly regular basis, and we run parts off for them. However, the one thing we haven't done is pushed on advertising it. So basically what I want to do is make sure all of our machines are in tip-top shape, they're all upgraded, they're all reliable, and our profiles are tuned. We are switching over completely to Prusa Slicer out in the print farm. We won't be using Simplify 3D in there anymore. The nice thing is I did run test prints on the 3 printers that I overhauled and got done, and the prints came out beautifully. We're probably going to be running right around 80 millimeters a second, up from like 40 to 60. I found a lot of the reason that the printers out there were running so slow when I had somebody else managing it was because there were issues with the printers that he didn't find that were causing the print quality to go down the faster you went. Well, now that I've gone over all the printers and fixed all these little issues, I'm actually able to run them at decent speeds. We also put our copper nozzles in there, so we're actually able to get a little bit faster speed. We're not pushing triple digits in terms of millimeters a second, but again, my focus is on print quality, and that's not just how it looks, that's also how it actually like holds up, how it structurally sound the part is. Because the faster you go, the less time it has to actually bond to the part with the nozzle pushing it into the previous layer, and there's not much you can do to get around that, just because it's physics. You're battling, the laws of the universe. So anyways, I am going to give the doggos their treats. Comet's trying to bring me a snack. No, I'm good. I don't want this bird toy. I'm pretty sure this is a cat toy. Did you bring a cat toy out here? Because this does not look like a dog toy. This looks and sounds like a cat toy. Did we steal one of the cat's toys? Yeah. Do you want a treat? Because you guys were good. Yeah. And the doggos have been hanging out with me out in the print farm. Yeah. What? What? They should sleep really good because Grandma and Grandpa stopped by, and Grandpa loves playing with the dogs. So, did you get to play with the ball? Did you get to play with the ball? Do you like the ball? Can you speak? That was the wimpiest bark I've ever heard out of you. Comment, paw, shake. No. Shh. Can you let me put my hand down and say the command before you actually put in my hand? Shake. Okay, close it. Primo, sit. Shake. Gotta work on getting it in my hand instead of my arm. And you know what? You were a good boy, so you just get your other one. You don't have to work for it. So, all right. Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. I'm sorry if I'm just not that crazy high energy today. I am tired. I'm just gonna be honest with you. I'm not gonna sugarcoat. I am damn tired. So, Anyways, I will talk to you guys later. Sorry about the late start. We are, like I said, we're taking the opportunity right now to kind of overhaul everything and just get everything up to higher standards. So I will be keeping you guys updated as we go along. I'm looking for the roll intro button because we're about to wrap up. I appreciate you guys watching. I hope you guys learned something. And as always, happy printing. I'll see you guys next time. And make sure to buy something for our shop because we're able to do these videos because of your guys' support. Take it easy.